what sparked my recent interest in Islamic art? Well, I suppose being a Muslim, you're interested in all aspects of Islam, really. And before, I suppose I was a bit closed-minded to Islamic art, because I thought art in general was insignificant. I didn't think it was a very significant thing in the world. I thought, on a priority list of things, art was just not up there. It's you think, there's a bit of mind control, I suppose, in the science-oriented society we live in, where you think, art is for the people who are no good at science, art is for the people who are no good with words, no good at English and things like that. And so a bit of this mind control has affected me, and I've never really thought about art in any deep way, even though my mother was she was actually an arts and crafts teacher in a primary school. My sister as well, she did what was then O-level art, and I even found out that my aunt on my father's side was actually a good artist, and she ended up as a guide in one of the Tate galleries. So there's things related to art in my family, but I've never been interested in art myself, really. Apart from, obviously, you see a nice painting, you like it. But in terms of Islamic art, I just had the general understanding that I think Muslims have, and that is that, there's the hadith that Allah is beautiful, and He loves what is beautiful, and everyone will just see art then in terms of beautifying things, and that art is the bringing out the beauty in the creation or whatever, and then connecting that to the the divine creation of beauty. And then my understanding of Islamic art, apart from that, was the order that is represented in the geometric symbolism in Islamic architecture throughout the various ruling dynasties in the Muslim world, in their architecture, in mosques and state buildings and things like this. And it didn't really. My understanding of art did not really move much beyond that, and my interest did not really move much beyond that, apart from having some type of pride in the Islamic heritage and the traces of the Islamic system that you see in art, or the remnants of Islamic art. But what sparked that recent interest was I was actually trying to do a business, just selling small pieces. I always, I had an idea that you could put together some nice little canvases, names of Allah, things like that, and do them, with not much difficulty. Come up with some variety and things like this, different types of calligraphy or different types of word art, whatever you want to call it. And I thought, you can do this because people sell this type of thing, and I could probably do something different, and just sell them for £20 or something like this. I thought it could be a little business. I thought maybe anyone could do this, and I haven't really seen people doing much of that sort of thing. I mean, you do see a lot of Islamic art being sold cheaply, but a lot of it is very similar, and there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of imagination and creativity. That's what I found. But I mean, that's not maybe a fair judgment, because I haven't really analysed it much. And of course, in the Muslim world, there probably is a lot of creativity in these things, but over here people tend to do very similar things. And if you look at the Islamic art in general that's being sold in these times, I don't mean the historic pieces, that Sotheby's are selling and things like this, but a lot of the art that's being made today is kind of very copied. It's like, what you will find is people will take something, a well-known form of Islamic calligraphy, for instance, and some very similar phrases, words, Bismillah or something like this, and then they'll take that form of calligraphy they have, stencil it, make a template, and it will just be copied onto various backgrounds with some change of colours or change of patterns, and that's the extent of it. So even they are not even bringing their own creativity to the wording itself. They're just taking it from someone else, maybe even downloading it from the internet or something like that, and then just copying it on everywhere. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but if we really want to go into artistic exploration and creativity and individualism, then it's kind of lacking. Even though you might have a beautiful piece like that. The point is, you put together a piece like that, and you can't say, oh, it's all mine, because no, you've taken someone else's calligraphy and you've put that on there. I mean, some people look at my pieces and they say, oh, why don't you study calligraphy? Why don't you do calligraphy? And the answer is, because I want to have my own pieces. I mean, obviously I could do my own calligraphy, but this was not the major thing that I was aiming for in the beginning. What I was doing was, I didn't even call it calligraphy. I mean, sometimes you call it calligraphy because you can't think of another word, but you will put together the lettering, put together the words, the Arabic text, in any way, maybe in a rugged, rough, loose sort of way, and you'll bring out the individualism by that. You'll bring out the mood by that or something. I mean, maybe you're not looking for perfect lines and perfect curves and correct proportions and things like this, but in the piece as a whole, it's very individualistic. I mean, it's a little like, if you look at early examples of Quranic script, or even letters and things like this from the early Islamic period, there's something very organic and natural about them. They're not very regimented. Okay, I mean, this is the time well before the printing press and this type of thing, and even the Arabic text itself was going through various stages of development in different areas of the Muslim world anyway, so these things had not been standardized. But the point is, they had this very nice individualism about them. A bit like when you look at the paintings of Van Gogh. If you look at the paintings of Van Gogh, one of the things that I like about the paintings of Van Gogh is that his paintings have a kind of a childlike, natural ruggedness about them, looseness about them. They are not. They don't give the impression of someone who's obsessed with detail and accuracy. The perspective in them is off in many places, deliberately so maybe, because we see from his other work that he can do perspective correctly. But in that strange, skewed perspective, in his, in his vivid and exaggerated colour schemes, we see an amazing individualism, and also a kind of it's almost like a childlike element to them. But in that childlike appearance of them, combined with their texture and the emotion that comes out of them, there's a great individualism and a great creativity. And they're just nice to look at, his paintings, or so many of his paintings are. And I think this is a thing that a lot of people don't understand about art. Is people are looking to copy each other a lot. But if we look at any movement which has become known, alright, I mean, they started to copy each other after, a group of these leaders of a movement have taken the art in a certain direction, and people are beginning to copy that. But each movement, like the Impressionists, the Expressionists, the Abstract Expressionists, any of these movements, it's starting with someone coming up with a new idea, or a new form, or a new style. In other words, it's an individualism then conveyed into a movement or a group, so that there's a recognizable style or something. But the point is, that's what's becoming interesting, is taking the art in a new direction. And if we look, in the Muslim world, the art has been stuck in the same modes of thinking for a long time. Now, I don't believe in turning over a tradition, And I don't believe in creating something new for the sake of it. But when we're talking about art, we're talking about not just beautification. We're not just talking about the, you know, artistic skills to attain certain artistic goals. What we're talking about is, you know, creativity. We're talking about individualism. We're talking about, you know, a form of communication. Art is a form of communication. You know, writing is one form of communication, the written form. Art is communication through symbols, through pictures, through scenes, through a collective, you know, picture that contains many elements, so that someone gets an impression, someone gets an expression, an emotion. They draw something from what they see, or they draw many things. They have an overall picture and they're getting many messages from it. And so I think that all these wide areas, these wide objectives of art, it's become forgotten in the Muslim world to a degree. Whereas before, maybe they were looking at representing the Islamic civilization. Now people are just thinking, oh, it's just beauty, beauty, beauty. But this is a bit of a shallow, you know, I mean, art is a lot bigger than that. Islamic art is a lot bigger than that.